I never believed life could flip in a single knock, until that evening. The rain had just stopped when I heard it. 3 soft taps on my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My place was small, quiet, and usually invisible to the world. I opened the door and there she was. Confident, calm, stunning in a way that didn't try too hard. She smiled like she already knew me. "Hi," she said, brushing wet hair behind her ear. "I'm in a bit of trouble. I was told you might be looking for a roommate." My brain froze. I had posted a vague ad days ago, half joking, half hoping. I hadn't imagined someone like her would show up. She stepped inside, glancing around the apartment. My mismatched furniture, the quiet mess of a lonely routine. Instead of judging, she laughed softly. "It's cozy," she said. "I like cozy." There was something different about her presence. Not rushed, not awkward, like she belonged there already. She sat down, crossed her legs, and looked straight at me. "I don't need much," she said. "Just a place to stay, and someone I can trust." I nodded, unsure why my heart was suddenly racing. That night, after she went to shower, I stood alone in the kitchen thinking one thing. This wasn't just about sharing an apartment. She came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, steam trailing behind her like a quiet warning. I looked away instantly, out of respect or fear or both. "Relax," she laughed, tying her hair up. "I'm not here to make things weird." But everything already felt strange. In a dangerous, exciting way. She changed into simple clothes, an oversized hoodie and shorts, and sat across from me at the small dining table. The rain outside had started again, tapping the windows like it was listening. "So," she said, resting her chin on her hand, "what's your rule about roommates?" I hesitated. No one had ever asked me that before. Honesty," I said, "and no secrets." Her smile faded just a little, just enough to notice. "That's fair," she replied. "I should tell you something then." She took a deep breath, eyes lowering to the table. "I didn't plan to move in today. I left a situation I couldn't stay in anymore. I didn't push. Some stories don't like being rushed." After a moment, she looked up again. "I'll pay my share. I won't cross boundaries. I just need a fresh start." I studied her face, strong but tired underneath. This wasn't a game for her. "You can stay," I said finally. "At least for now." She exhaled, like she'd been holding that breath all day. "Thank you," she whispered. "You won't regret it." As she stood to go to the spare room, she paused at the doorway and looked back. "By the way," she added softly, "I hope you're ready, because living with me is never boring." The door closed behind her, and somehow I knew my quiet life was officially over. Morning light crept into the apartment, softer than usual. I woke to the sound of movement, cups clinking, water running. For a second, I forgot she was there. Then I smelled coffee. She was in the kitchen, barefoot, humming quietly like she'd lived there for years. "Good morning, roommate," she said without turning around. "Hope you like it strong." I did, but what surprised me more was how normal it felt. We sat across from each other, sharing toast and small talk. She asked about my work, my routine, why I lived alone. I answered honestly. When I asked about her, she smiled but kept things light. "Another day," she said. "Another city." Later, while I was getting ready to leave, I noticed her suitcase still by the door, untouched, like she wasn't fully unpacked, like she was ready to disappear again. "You don't have to rush," I told her. "Take your time." She looked at me for a long moment. That's dangerous to say to someone like me. Before I could ask what she meant, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Is she with you?" My stomach tightened. I looked up. She was watching my face change. "Bad news?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," I replied. She walked over, eyes serious now, none of that playful ease left. "If trouble finds me here," she said, "I won't let it touch you." That's when I realized something important. She wasn't just running from something. Someone might be running after her. And my apartment, my quiet, ordinary apartment, had just become part of her story. That night, the apartment felt smaller, quieter but heavier. She barely touched her dinner, staring at her phone like it might explode. I pretended not to notice, but every few seconds her fingers tightened around it. "Who was that message from?" I finally asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood up, walked to the window, and pulled the curtain back just enough to look outside. "Someone who doesn't like being told no," she said. My chest tightened. "Are we in danger?" She turned to me, eyes steady. "Not if I'm honest with you now." She sat down slowly, folding her hands together. "I didn't just leave a bad situation," she began. "I walked away from a man who's used to owning everything, including people. I waited. He helped me once, money, connections, protection. But help turned into control." She swallowed. "When I left, I broke a rule he doesn't forgive." The room was silent except for the clock on the wall. "Why come here?" I asked. She looked at me, really looked at me. "Because you're invisible to his world," she said. "No power, no drama, just real." I didn't know whether to feel relieved or trapped. A knock suddenly echoed through the apartment. 3 sharp knocks. We both froze. She stood instantly, voice low. "Don't open it." My heart was pounding as I moved closer to the door anyway, peeking through the peephole. No one was there, but on the floor, right outside the door, was a folded note. I picked it up, hands shaking. It had only 4 words written in bold ink. "You can't hide her." When I turned around, she was already packing her bag, panic and guilt fighting in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "I never meant to drag you into this." But it was too late, because whoever was out there now knew exactly where she lived. And so did I. "I'm leaving tonight," she said, shoving clothes into the bag with shaking hands. "Before this gets worse." "No," I replied without thinking. The word surprised both of us. "Running is what he expects." She stopped, slowly. "You don't understand how powerful he is." "Maybe," I said, stepping closer. "But I understand fear, and I won't let it decide everything." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then her shoulders dropped, like something heavy finally slid off. "You're not supposed to say things like that," she whispered. "That's how people get hurt." Car passed outside. Headlights swept across the walls. She flinched. I moved without thinking, standing between her and the window. "Listen," I said, keeping my voice calm. "This is my home. If you leave like this, you'll be alone again. If you stay, we face it smart." She searched my face, as if trying to figure out whether I was brave or just stupid. Finally, she zipped the bag shut, but didn't pick it up. "Okay," she said softly. "One night. Just one." We turned off most of the lights, sat on opposite ends of the couch, the silence thick between us. The clock ticked louder than it ever had. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and went pale. "He knows," she said. "He's nearby." Before I could respond, my own phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A calm, confident voice spoke. Too calm. "You've got something that doesn't belong to you," the man said. "Be reasonable. Let her go." My jaw tightened. "She's not an object." A pause. Then a soft chuckle. "Everyone is, to someone." The call ended. I looked at her. She was shaking but not breaking. That's when I realized the truth. This wasn't just about protecting her anymore. Someone had just challenged my life. We didn't sleep that night. When dawn finally broke, the fear felt different. Lighter, like it had lost its grip. She stood by the window, watching the city wake up, her bag still untouched in the corner. "He won't come," she said quietly. "Not now." "Why?" I asked. She turned to me, a small smile forming. "Because men like him only win when people are afraid." And last night, I stopped being afraid. There was a knock at the door again. But this time, it was daylight. I opened it carefully. Nothing. No note. No threat. Just silence. Later that morning, she sat across from me, calm and steady. "I'm leaving," she said. "But not because I'm scared. Because I finally know I can choose." I nodded, even though part of me didn't want to. You'll be okay, I said. She stood, then surprised me by stepping forward and hugging me. Tight, real, unforgettable. You didn't save me, she whispered. You reminded me who I was. At the door, she paused one last time. Sharing your apartment changed my life, she said. And you'll never even know how much. Then she was gone. Weeks passed. The apartment went back to being quiet. But I was different. Because sometimes, a stranger doesn't come to stay forever. Sometimes they come to wake you up and leave you braver than you were before.